Hello, angels. Um, okay, I have been guided to go much deeper. And so guess what? I'm going to take you with me. So, and it came up with something that was discussed last week in our private session. And then someone on YouTube made a statement, and I thought, okay, it's time. Let's go there. So what I want to say is keep pulling back your projections. That is the only way to do the mind training with A Course in Miracles. Jesus is very clear. Projections must be pulled back and recognized as our projection and fear of accepting it for ourselves. Okay? So we're going to go back to the two ways of thinking. The one way is through perception, through all our senses. It's the only way we learned how to think. The opposite, which is why we're doing this mind training, is to see everything through the truth, through the love of God, period. Never an exception. Okay, so that's the reason you're turning in every 3 times a week, is to learn how to do this. Okay, so I'm going to go into a new area, but all I need to say, if you can't hear me yet, if it doesn't make sense, the words I'm saying, don't worry about it. Keep pulling back the projections. Okay, that's going to go on for a long time, and all I can say is keep finding the judgments, pulling back the projections. It's yours. It's not meant for anybody else. And that's the access to what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, the reason we're doing this, see, projections, we project because we don't trust ourselves to see that that's what we're thinking. And it's too scary to own it, so we project it on others. But in the mind training, as you continue to pull it back, continue to pull back projections, because all projections are judgments. You keep pulling them back, keep pulling back. At some moment, you'll start to hear guidance. True guidance, not ego's guidance. Ego's guidance is very different than Holy Spirit's guidance. And the access to that is keep pulling back the projections. Just don't stop pulling back the judgments. And this, I want to talk just a second about teachers of A Course in Miracles, because the only path I'm on is A Course in Miracles. I don't have any other paths. That's it. I'm a one-trick pony, and it's A Course in Miracles. And there are many different teachers of A Course in Miracles, thousands of them. There's lots of them. And all I can say is you will be guided to the teacher that you need to just hop on their bus for a while. And I'm not even asking you to. Boy, believe me, you guys came to me, and I told Holy Spirit I wasn't going to advertise this. It's like, Holy Spirit, you bring them to me, because I'm not going out there. And a lot of people on Facebook, you'll see them, they're advertising themselves. I'm not. I'm not interested in your money. I'm not interested even if you show up for these Zoom rooms. I'm just sharing what I am learning. That's it. Can't give you any more than that. So as and I've gone through so many teachers, and that's why I brought up this comment. I think it wasn't in the public share about teachers. Don't make teachers wrong. I don't care who they are. Don't make them wrong. Even if they're not a Course in Miracles, don't make them wrong. Everybody is going to find the teacher that is most helpful for them. And I've let go many teachers, many. And unfortunately, when I let them go, I made them wrong, saying, fuck you, I'm on to something else. Okay? Don't do that. Not a great idea. That's all I can say. The last one was David Hoffmeister. I am sure he doesn't mind me sharing this. I made him very wrong. And the reality was, okay, hang on. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna share it. Shit. I'm not one to hold back. I gave all my money to David because David was actually supporting a lot of younger people at Living Miracles, which I loved. These are young people that don't have any resources. They don't have a retirement account. They have no job security. They have nothing. And yet they're coming into this understanding, and David just takes them in like, off the street people that he can see they have a true willingness to hear the truth. And I always loved that about David. So at some moment, and this was totally Holy Spirit guidance. This does not mean anything for you. This was my guidance. Okay. Let me just say that very clearly. This is not necessarily, it may be, but it's not necessarily your guidance. My guidance was give him all your money. And it was clear to me. Oh God, it was so clear to me. I was looking for the fast track. And I've always said, you want the fast track? Give all your money away. Yeah, we'll put you on a fast track. And so I was on the fast track. I heard to give him all my money. And that's what I did. And then there was this whole process while I was in Living Miracles. At some point, it was clear I was to leave. Okay. And one of my fears in leaving was when I joined Living Miracles, I wasn't planning on leaving. I was going to be there forever. And at the time, I was kind of relying on David and his monthly retreats. I found them very helpful. And with leaving the community, then I was asked to start paying for them. And my ego went fucking wild. Fucking wild. What do you mean? I gave you $200,000, and now you want me to pay for monthly retreats? Are you out of your mind? I mean, it triggered me big time. And the reality was, it was testing my trust of this process massively. Because see, this whole thing about pulling back projections is all about developing trust in you. Because we don't trust ourselves. We're trusting this ego mind that says they're wrong, they're bad, they're good, blah, 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 like a fucking ping pong ball. And that's what we trust. So as we pull back these projections, one at a time, asking Holy Spirit to reinterpret it, tell us how to see it differently, one at a time, we start building trust in ourselves that we do know the truth. And as this process goes on, you let teachers go. And I had a hard one with David. I wanted the retreats. I found them helpful. How could this not be helpful? But it was really for me to let them go and trust myself. And I wouldn't have full trust in myself until I let them go completely. It's like, this is really jumping off the cliff and realizing you have wings. But until you jump off the cliff, and those monthly retreats for me, like we're hanging on to the cliff going, oh, no, can't do it, don't. And then I finally let go. And it was like, then I started hearing with such clarity. Holy Spirit was coming through so clearly. Downloads, massive downloads. Sometimes I'm up all night just taking in downloads for myself. This is with my, my process. But what we're dealing here with us in this Zoom room is this mind training process. So at some point you may become disturbed, like I did, about letting go of a teacher. And all I can say is really sit with Holy Spirit with it. Because what happens at some point, you need no teacher. This is the Course says, throw the book out. Well, at some point, if you do the mind training process, you need no teacher. And there are some teachers, if we hang on to them, like a child to a parent, we won't grow because we're dependent on them for everything. But what we're learning is that's the perceptual. What we're learning from truth is you don't need anybody to assist you. And again, you'll get to this point in your own process. And all I can say is keep pulling back the projections. Keep pulling back the projections, because that is the key factor. If you're believing your projections, you can't get to this point. It won't happen. So just keep pulling them back, keep pulling them back, keep pulling them back. And at some point, you'll realize, oh, I didn't need that. Because Holy Spirit is coming through so clear and telling me exactly what I'm needing. And it's not dependent on some teacher or even the Course in Miracles. But I still go back to the Course in Miracles because I get so much out of it, because it all makes sense to me now. And my process with the Course in Miracles didn't start out that way. None of it made sense. I mean, I remember I'd read a paragraph before I went to bed at night, because that's about all I could handle. And even then, it didn't make any sense to me, but I trusted the process. Now I can read chapters and all of it makes sense. But the process is mind training, because that's all A Course in Miracles is mind training. That's it. And I'm, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I can see my process in training my mind very clearly. And a part of it was I was so terrified, I dove in with both feet and said, I have nothing else to trust at this point. There is nothing else to trust. It's either A Course in Miracle and God, or I die. That was it. And so I gave it 110%. And I liked Living Miracles because it was safe. It was a family. Oh, I'll never forget. Yeah, there was there was one time. Oh God. Yeah, I'll say it. Because see, one of the things I've also been gifted myself are tests. I have gifted myself tests along the way. And these tests come in for me. Doesn't mean you're going to have to go through this. For me, there are people that I have worked with that just hate me at some point. And they're not too ashamed to say it. I had someone, and I'm not going to mention any names, I had someone that for months he sent me threatening emails and messages. I mean, really icky stuff. You know, it's like, I'm going to kill you if I see you. He didn't live, I won't say where he lived. He said, I'm going to come to Mexico and I'm going to find you and I'm going to kill you. And, you know, I know where Namaste is. I mean, just all this stuff. It went on for months. And these were tests I was giving myself. How much do you trust God? How much do you trust God? And while I was going through this, he even said, he contacted Living Miracles and asked about me. And then Living Miracles says, oh no, she's no longer a member of this community. Well, that just ticked me off to no end. It's like, gave you money, was there for about 5 years, and now you disavow me? Well, it was because I was needing to trust God only. No exception. And at the time I wasn't, because I was feeling threatened by this guy. I even shared with James Twyman, because I live in Namaste, and I said at some point, and I gave him his name and told him what he looked like. He said, if he ever comes to the gate, do not let him in. I mean, that's how much I wasn't trusting. And so at some point I trusted enough that he just disappeared off the charts somewhere. But that's how this is my process. But all I can say is it's been the perfect process, because I kept throwing fear up that would test my resolve to trust God. You know, and you know, I really wanted this to be such an easy process. I wanted the spring, you know, the walk in the park kind of process. That wasn't it for me. And so all I can say is keep pulling back the projections, keep pulling back the projections, no matter how much you know it has nothing to do with you. especially if you know it has nothing to do with you. Pull them back. They're yours. And there's going to come a time you go, oh, not this. Yes, this. And it'll feel like someone's punching you in the face. I mean, I thought my life was being threatened. And then Living Miracles says, oh no, she left this community a long time ago. We know nothing about her. It's like, excuse me, this guy wants to kill me. But it wasn't about them. It was about me trusting and deepening my trust. And believe me, I have been amazed at how deep this goes. I'm shocked at how deep this goes on a regular basis. And so all I can do is say, trust this process. The process is see your thinking Oh, I'm making them wrong. Pull it back. Holy Spirit, help me see this differently. And that's going to go on until you stop projecting. And I still project. They're minor though. Now it's like so clear when a projection comes through, it's like, no, stop. Nope, 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 not going there. Can't make me. It's mine. I go to God, help me see this. What's this for? How's this going to help me? And so all I can say is keep pulling back the projections. That is the path. There's no magic bullet here. None. It's keep pulling back your projections. And believe me, I wanted it to be a different way. It's just the way it is. And then at some point, and you'll let teachers go. I mean, I don't listen to David anymore. I love him. I mean, I really, the last projection I had, I pulled it back and it was so clear. No, this is in my best interest. It's like, it was like, and I likened David to Jesus at some point, and he is Jesus. When Jesus was in Gethsemane, the Garden of Gethsemane, before they crucified him, he basically, he told the disciples, you're on your own now. He knew it was over. He said, you're on your own now. And then they went and did whatever they did, good, bad, or indifferent. But Jesus had to let them go. This is a world of chaos, and no one lives in this world of chaos forever. Now, what I know, and I think many of you do also, the mind is eternal. That doesn't die. That goes on forever. The mind that we're thinking with right now does not die. Form will slip away, but the mind doesn't. And so it's kind of like at some point, you've got to let go of form totally, sooner or later. And in the process of mind training, you've got to let go of teachers that are no longer being 100% helpful. And you'll know this, and you'll probably fight like a crazy person. And all I can say is just settle down and see where, what projection is being played out that you might need to pull back. And and I could give you so many examples, and I'm not going to, because I think I've given you the bulk of it right now. But keep pulling back these projections, including teachers. And this was a deep one for me. It was a biggie, because I didn't trust that I could do this on my own. And I still, there are times when I have mighty companions that I do join with and, get a little support now and then, but not on a regular basis, because I trust my listening. I can hear the truth. I know when I'm not listening. I know when I'm listening with my ego mind. It's painfully clear when I'm listening to because I suffer. I have pain. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to trust it. I want to make it so, no, take it back. That's not me. That's them. I go through the same, stuff that I did when I first started this, but it doesn't last long. If I'm willing to give it to God and sit quietly, Holy Spirit, help me with this one. I can't do this myself. I really want to make them wrong. Help me see this differently. And all miracles are in mind, not in form. So as soon as I change my mind about a projection and pull it back and own it, oh, yeah, that is mine. That is for me. That's a lesson I would learn. The pain stops. And then I can get back to the peace of God quite quickly. And all I can say, again, I couldn't say this enough. Keep pulling back those projections. That is what will kill you in the most suffering way possible. Yeah, projections will kill you. But once you pull them back, you get into this space of, oh, yeah, I'm okay. Life's good. I mean, the lessons aren't hard to learn at some point. Initially, when I first started, they were very painful because I believed the world was real. But the more and more and more and more I did pull back the projection, the world got thinner and thinner. Gary Renard's book, The Disappearance of the Universe. The universe is still around me. I just don't put anything in it. It's all a lesson I would learn. If something still hooks me, it's a lesson I would learn. And that's, why I still, check out the news every now and then. And it's not about what's happening in the world. It's about, am I hooked by it? Do I need to get something out of this and pull it back and see it differently? Okay. So with that being said, goodbye, YouTube land. Hang on.